Hello, my name is Bill McDonald, and I self-identify as a famous oceanographer. Are you one of these people that just sends Mother Nature a card on Earth Day and then forgets about her the rest of the year? Don't you think we could do a better job of being kinder to the planet and nicer to all the creatures who live on the planet? I know I do, except maybe for the cockroaches. I really hate those bastards. But my specialty is the oceans, so I'm always looking for ways that humans can change our behavior just a little bit to show more consideration and compassion for the fish. And that is why I founded my group called Sharks Are Human Too. Now, at the time when I did this years ago, I thought I would look at it from, the fish's point of view, from what are sharks thinking? And I mean, these creatures go across the oceans. Surely they have some deep thoughts. Well, as the years went on, I never got any closer to figuring them out. I mean, they're a mystery to me. The only time you know what a shark is feeling is when it's feeling hungry. Then you'll know. But we became fond of the name, so we kept it. It's kind of touchy-feely, inclusive, fit in the new age. And we have a good brand going, so we're using it. But every now and then we like to review how we got here, the ups and downs, and then what we're doing now. So this is the story of my environmental group. Sharks Are Human Too. Boom. For thousands of years, ever since humans first came to this planet from our home star system, we've been going down to the beaches and looking at the waves, playing in the sand, and swimming in the ocean. And every year for thousands of years, some of us have been attacked, killed, and eaten by creatures in the ocean. There's nothing funny about it. It's a horrible thing, but it is the way of the world. Did you know that 87% of all the creatures who ever lived died when they were killed and eaten by other creatures? 87%. There was no old age on this planet when we got here. We invented old age. When a lion gets old, you're not going to see him sitting in a rocking chair looking at the fire, reminiscing about a life well lived. You're not going to see that. Or going down to the rec room and playing bingo with the other old lions. Won't happen. When a lion gets old, it is driven from its territory by younger lions. It loses its pride of female lions. It's forced to walk alone, getting thinner and weaker, until a pack of hyenas set upon it, tear it to scraps, and eat it. That's old age on planet Earth. There's your early retirement system, right there. And these inventions we come up with, like old age, make the planet seem less harsh for us. But for the creatures out there in the wild, it's as harsh as it's ever been. Take the thing where we go to the sink, turn on the faucet, and get a drink of water. Do you realize what some animals go through just to get a drink of water on this planet? Take those screwed up deer over in Africa. What are they called? Gazelles? These things are basically defenseless. They got little horns, but I think that's just to fight each other. So they're out there hopping around in the tall grass, nibbling away in the heat and humping each other and all that stuff. But they're never relaxed. They're never really at ease. Why? They have some of the baddest creatures on Earth chasing them around. They have the cheetah, the fastest cat on the planet, after them. Now, it's one thing if you had a hippo chasing you, but a cheetah is an extremely fast animal. I mean, I've had cars that did not go as fast as a cheetah. I mean, these are quick. The car I'm driving now does not go as fast as a cheetah. I'm talking about a very, very fast animal. And they always say that humans are the only thing with religion. We are the only ones that have religion. But when you see a gazelle running from a cheetah, it sure looks like they're praying too. I tell you one thing they're not doing that we do. They're not giving thanks to a loving God for the divine providence of putting them in this situation. They're not doing that. They're too busy trying not to get eaten alive. And I'm not saying it's all bad. Late in the afternoon, they might sneak away individually, find a nice place, lie down and have a little gazelle nap, have their little gazelle dreams. But if they're not stepped on by an elephant or, a rhino or kicked by a giraffe, they might get up later. And I can tell you what they're going to do then. They're going to say, I need a drink of water. Oh, man, I feel like I got half the Serengeti in my throat. I've got to get a drink. So they head down to the old watering hole. And oh, look, there's no one in line. Great. They go right to the edge. They got their legs splayed out, and they start drinking. And that water is cool. It's rejuvenating. It's life-giving. It's life-saving. But then what happens? An 18-foot crocodile comes shooting out of the water, grabs him by one leg, drags him out to the deep, rolls him over, drowns him, and eventually eats them. That's life on the blue planet, man, and I hate that. I hate that about this place. And I really hate it 100 million times as much when it's a human that goes through that. When one of us is eaten by a bear or a mountain lion or a shark. I mean, that is just horrible, horrific way to go. And when I founded my group, I wanted to do something. I pledged to do something about it. So I put a grant proposal together for $500,000. And my idea was that I would try to introduce some sharks to a vegan lifestyle. Now, you might be saying, who's going to give you $500,000 for a stupid idea like that? But I did get the money, and I'll tell you how I did it. During the presentation, I only used precise numbers. Like a while ago when I said 87% of all creatures who've died on this planet were killed and eaten by other creatures, I just pulled that number out of my ass. I have no idea what that stat really is. I mean, how could you know? How could you know? And the other thing I did is I put on a white lab coat for the presentation. Because when I'm watching late night TV and I see someone trying to sell me a new medicine or hair transplants or, some infomercial, if they're just dressed normally, I go, whatever. But if they put on that white lab coat, I say to myself, now there's a serious scientist. So I put the coat on and we got the money. But then I had a real problem. I mean, how do you teach sharks to be vegetarians? Well, the first thing I did was get a research vessel. In my business, oceanography, you've got to have a research vessel. I don't care if you're working in a lab in New Hampshire, in Nebraska. You've got to have a research vessel. And the second thing you need is an experiment. So I came up with the experiment, and I thought it was pretty creative. What we did is we made a sea lion completely out of tofu. Life-size sea lion, all tofu. We took it down to Australia, dropped it in the water off the coast, Great Barrier Reef, and we waited. Sure enough, after a while, a great white shark came along. It bit into the sea lion, but it didn't go like they normally do. It kind of went, then took off. Now you might be saying, "What a colossal failure," But a lot of scientific breakthroughs come out of colossal failures, accidents, mistakes. And we took the data from that experiment and we developed a skin cream, a tofu-based shark repellent. You put it on your skin and a shark will not come near you. It's available on our website under the Dorsal Morsel brand, $19.99 a jar. And, ever since we've started selling this, we have not lost a single customer to a shark attack while wearing the tofu shark repellent. And a lot of customers say it's very good on a bagel. But why would we pick a sea lion shape? Why would we do that? Well, sharks love sea lions. They love sneaking under them, biting them, throwing them in the air, biting them again. They're fun. And plus, sea lions are a great food. They're healthy. They're working out all day. They're swimming around. And there's nothing foreign on their bodies. They're naked in a sense. I mean, when you see a sea lion beach, it's a nude beach. Because the sea lions are nude. And I personally think it would be adorable if they had little outfits, some of them, like bow ties and hats. I think that'd be cute. But they don't. That is not the way of the world. But when humans came along, we began to wear foreign materials on our bodies. And this is very awkward to talk about because it was before the age of political correctness. And early humans actually wore fur. I know, it's embarrassing. And as sad as that is to report, some of them had fur outfits from head to toe. But as bad as that is, it was still natural, at least. I mean, think of a killer whale coming along thousands of years ago. It sees an Eskimo on an ice floe and it says, I think I'll lunge up on the ice, grab this dude, pull him into the water and eat him. Then maybe the killer whale says, looks like he has the fur of another animal on him. But that's not going to stop the killer whale. The killer whale will say, so what? I can process fur. Hell, I just ate a polar bear last week. This is nothing. But as the eons passed, the centuries turned to millennium and lots of time passed, humans began to wear more and more things on their bodies. And this is where my organization saw an opportunity to help. So every year we come out with our summer special tips for a better planet. And this year is no exception. We have 3 things. Now, first up, we have sunglasses. We've all seen people wade into the water wearing sunglasses. Why? Because the sun hits the waves. It's very bright on the eyes. We have no problem with that. Anything that helps humans, we're pro-human. After all, we are the number one species on this planet if you don't count the aliens and the UFOs, who've probably been based here thousands of years too. But what we do object to is when people go in the water with the sunglasses on top of their head. They're not even wearing them. They're just uselessly sitting there on top of their head. Now, when these people get attacked by a shark and eaten, and the shark gets to the torso head area, those sunglasses can come off and get lodged in the gill slit of the shark. Now, I'm not saying it's going to injure the shark, but it could annoy the shark. And trust me, we do not want to annoy the shark. So what we would suggest is if you're going to just put them on your head, leave them on the beach. Put them in a beach towel, an ice chest, or whatever. For one thing, if something bad does happen, your family will have a lovely memento, a keepsake of your time here on the planet. Who knows, your nephew might, visit the beach years later wearing the shades and saying, yeah, Uncle Rudy was bitten in half right out there, but I still wear these in his honor. Now, the second thing we looked at was jewelry. We'd never ask you to leave your jewelry on the beach. Take that off and leave it in a beach towel. It's too expensive and it means too much to us. Some of these rings are very sentimental. But think of what those diamonds and all those sharp metal edges can do. When a shark attacks and eats a swimmer wearing those and the severed arm goes down its throat, you could get lacerations. They could lead to infections. You could get scarring. So what we would ask you to do is to take a little piece of duct tape before you go in the water and just wrap it around that diamond ring. That way, if you are attacked and eaten, your severed hand could safely go down the shark's throat. And by the way, it'll help keep the ring from slipping off in the water if you just swim, Now, the third thing we looked at is bathing suits. What happens to all the bathing suits that end up in a shark's stomach? Where did they go? And we did get some more grant money for this one. But see, bathing suits used to be made of cotton, but all natural. But did you know that less than 27% of all bathing suits are now made of cotton? Okay, you got me. I made that number up for the presentation. But a lot of bathing suits these days are made of very complex, high-tech fabrics, made in a lab, probably by a scientist with a white lab coat. And these molecules were never seen on the planet before. The sharks can't digest them. So what does happen to them? Well, we looked into it, and the results are pretty encouraging. I mean, you take a man like wearing a bright blue Speedo, okay? First of all, the bright blue will help the shark find the swimmer in the water, so that's a positive for it. And later, if the shark just bites off one limb, you can use that Speedo as an emergency tourniquet, so that's good. But let's skip ahead and say that the swimmer has been attacked, eaten, and digested. And that Speedo is now sitting in the shark's belly. What happens then? Well, it turns out, given enough time, that shark can compact that blue Speedo down to a little bright blue turd about this big. And after a little more time, it'll drop it right out its asshole, and it'll drop like a stone right to the bottom of the sea. Done. And it can do this with all kinds of swimsuits. I know some of us have rather big behinds, and we're wearing the big shorts, but sharks can handle every swimsuit out there, it turns out. And isn't that good news? I mean, if you worry about the environment, that's one less thing to worry about, right? The problem is wetsuits. Wetsuits are very thick material. They're polyethylene. I mean, you take a full-size wetsuit, you put it in a body of a great white shark, it could cause, abdominal cramping. It could cause intestinal blockage. It could lead to a slow, agonizing death from starvation. And you might be thinking, good, if that shark kills me, I want it to die a slow, agonizing death. But that's the small-minded thinking, really. You're already dead. If what you're wearing kills the shark later, nobody wins. So what we did is we came up with an environmentally correct, biodegradable, politically correct wetsuit. After a couple of weeks in a shark's stomach, it breaks down into these beans, and these beans will give off gas, lots of gas. And after a couple more days, that shark will start farting. Oh my God, it'll fart for 48 hours straight. And, some of the beans come out, individually like, and then sometimes they come out in a stream like, and then sometimes they clump up and they're just packed in there, and the shark really has to fire one off like. But the important thing is after 48 hours, that wetsuit is gone. And We have these on our website, marketing them under the Wetsuit Supreme brand. It's named after a burrito I had one time that I do not want to talk about. And by the way, if you visit the website, the tofu shark repellent is on sale this summer. I think it's 25% off, so check that out. But of course, the wetsuits are more expensive. Those are $289. And you might say, wow, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, but not for the peace of mind you'll get. I mean, think of it. When you're out there and you're getting attacked and eaten by a shark, the last thing you want to worry about is, am I dressed appropriately? With these, you'll know that your last thing on earth, your legacy, will be to do something nice for the environment. I mean, you might be gone, but your love of the environment lives on. Now, we have one letter this month. It's from Michelle in Laguna Beach. She writes that sea lions don't scream when they're attacked like we do. Humans let out these blood-curdling screams, and she was wondering, with the close proximity to the shark's head, would those screams hurt the shark's hearing or maybe affect the shark's sensory abilities? And her question is, if we are attacked by a shark, should we try to keep the screaming down? And I'd say to Michelle in Laguna Beach, first of all, congratulations. You sound like a very considerate person. But we looked into this, and you don't have to worry about a thing. We could all scream as much as we want. Not only do the sharks are not, they're not affected by it, but they seem to enjoy it. Well, there's our list for summer tips for a better planet. And we'll have another list next year for everyone, or at least almost everyone. Seriously, be careful out there. We're trying to eliminate these incidents. Don't swim way offshore and start flopping around like a jerk. Use your head. If you see a fin, get out of the water. Little things like that. But, we're supposed to be modern, right? It's one thing if you get killed by a drone strike or a bomb from a B-52 or a plane crash, a machine gun, a car crash, or, a nuclear strike, a genocide, or maybe a hypersonic missile. But to get killed when another creature does it on this planet, where's the progress? Finally, I mentioned that I was self-identified as a famous oceanographer. The truth is I really just took one course in oceanography in college, and to be honest, I did not do very well in it. I know my term paper did not go over. It was called The Gulf Stream, a warm channel, a warm current, or a jet airplane. A definitive look. Anyway, I also freely admit I don't understand the identity politics thing. It's new to me. I spend a lot of time snorkeling, and I'm behind on the new age stuff. For example, this one presidential candidate, Warren, what's his name? Warren something. I can't remember the last name. No, wait. It's Elizabeth Warren. It's the woman who's running, and I heard that she spent good money for a DNA test to show that she's a Native American. And I'm going, what are you doing? All you have to do is come out and say, look, I self-identify as Sitting Bull. Deal with it. And the rest of us will have to say, okay, we respect that. You get to decide who you are and what you are. So, good luck on the campaign trail, Sitting Bull. And my question is, why can't we extend the same courtesy to sharks? Why can't we do that for sharks? Why can't we just say, hey, sharks are humans? Well, why would we do that? Or why are they human? Well, because we say they're human. And why would we say they're human? Well, partly because, take these shark incidents and turn them into human-on-human violence, and we kill millions and millions of our own, so that would be less offensive, right? And, if we had to go old school, we'd always say, this is the way of the world. And besides, 87% of all creatures who die are killed and eaten by other creatures. That's a known fact by now. And, maybe, who knows, the victim might have followed the summer swimming tips for a better planet, so that we'd have a positive message from that, knowing that the victim showed some love on the way out for the Earth. But, mainly I think calling them human would make them more relatable, because we eat a lot too. We eat cows, we eat pigs, we eat chickens, so we eat a lot of fish. Just like them, we eat a lot of fish. In fact, we have slaughtered thousands of sharks just to cut off their fins for soup, shark fin soup. So let's not get crazy talking about who's the vicious species on this planet. at the end of the day, we'll still have to deal with these shark attacks. And I mean, it's going to, but at least if we think of them as human, we could always say, hey, look, humans, we all got to eat. And hey, sharks are human too. Thank you. Did you hear that? I just heard a whale off the coast here. Yeah, I got to get going. I'm working on a new grant proposal. It's called The Whale Song, Original Music or Sampling. So I got to get going. Be safe. Have a good summer. Bye.